What's up, guys? Chris with Cross CNC. I myself may or may not be in frame on this. I'm using the tripod. I can't see behind the camera, but I'm going to go ahead, get things turned on, get tools set up, get the materials set up, and start getting ready for the production run. So the first thing we do is I have my power strip on. I go ahead, I turn my computer on, I turn my power system on, I turn my ATC on, and then I turn my TV on. Wait for everything to load up. All right, this is actually my computer, which is right here. Uh, Only major modification that you guys have not seen that I have done is this heat sink that I put on it, just because I ran some huge files that took literally hundreds of hours to run. Uh, it was 4 foot by 8 foot 3D carves with a 0.5 millimeter um, tapered ball nose end mill, uh, and uh, the computer started to get a little hot. So I went ahead and put this heat sink on it, and there hasn't been any issue since, um, as far as getting hot. So we're logged in. I have my job file on here. Let's see. Everything's on. We'll start up. This is everything's up. Had to let the UC400 load its firmware. This is the closed loop controller system. This is the ATC system, and then the VFD is right down here. We're using the 2000, or not 2000, it's the UC-CNC neon screen set. We'll hit reset. At this point, everything's ready to be home. We'll hit reference all. Everything moves nice and slow. As you can tell, the machine is all greased up. Now remember, you guys are seeing all this in real time. Normally what I would do is I would drag it all the way over and forward before homing it, just so it's closer to the switches. Let's see. No comments so far. Okay. See if we can move you over and around. You guys can actually see the screen set. Now for air today. Underneath of here, I have a 2-gallon Cobalt pancake compressor. It is an oilless compressor. It only runs when I need it to. Then on top of it, I have my big air compressor line over here coming in from my outside compressor if I need to. Okay, homing cycle is finished. Let's put you back over here. So at this point, I'm going to move my y-axis out of the way. Let's bump that up to okay. All right, so I have my bump stop. You guys saw me insert my nutserts into my spoil board. I have nutserts all over this. I have through holes. I have T-channels. I have special dog hole clamps. I make these spoil boards for what I need them to be. So, all right, first thing we're going to do is set up our tool rack. For this project, we're only using 1/4-inch end mill, 3 flute from Sky One CNC. We're using an ATC tool holder. This is the ER16 collet. We do have ER20 style collets. As you can see the difference. This will hold a 1/2-inch tool. This will only hold a 3/8 tool max. They recommend a 1/4-inch tool. This will hold a 1/2-inch tool. They recommend a 3/8 tool. On my automatic tool changer, I have my release button and I have my master tool probe mount right here. That's just something I did for my own setup. All right. So the way that this works is the tool, well, first the collet goes in the collet nut as usual. Tool goes in. Okay. Then you have a collet wrench, kind of like usual, except it has to be seated in these forks. Okay. Once it's seated in those forks, you're good. You then put it in and start screwing it down. Okay, now it's somewhat there. Now we can play with our stick out of our tool. I'm going to go right about there. Now this wrench goes on our tool holder. And you just twist. Now, I have a setup over on my toolbox. It's something that I made. I'll put the files out for it whenever I have enough people to want it. For the automatic tool changer, it is an aluminum fork block with this fork holder milled into it. That basically it just sits down like that. Has a clamp that goes over it to hold it, and then you can just take your crow's foot torque wrench, stick on it, and torque it down to the right torque. Okay. Right now I'm just doing this good enough. These can go up. We're done with that part of it. I can actually put this in the tool fork holder. Take it down here. You guys can see the tools. I'm going to put this in slot 1 right up over there. All right, so now you can see I've got my tools in slot 1. There's my tool probe. There's my dust shoe holder if I need it. And we'll go back here. All right. Now, I'll take my. I was making some jewelry for some people, and this is that wax that I make that I showed you. You can buy it online, but you can actually make your own with paraffin wax, beeswax, and plastic bags. Set that over there. So this block is nothing more than a separator block for our material. I'm going to put a couple strips of double stick tape. Let me grab my scissors. Where are my scissors? Okay. I've got axe handles flying all around. I've got oak wood falling. I've got tools falling. Okay. So now, this is what I use to roll out my double stick tape. They're just aluminum flashlight tubes. All right. There's that. There's that. Now, I do realize that I'm going to be doing some major up and side cutting loads. So I'm going to add in some clamps. All right. Spacer block can come out. Now, for the most part, because I use the same spacer blocks and everything, um, I have some zeros set up. Like, I wouldn't necessarily have to zero the X and Y um, on production runs because I'll use the same datum points. But for this one, I just kind of stuck it on there to show you. So let's get some screws around and clamp this baby down. Starting to not feel so hot. All right, that's good enough. All right. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to put some screws on the back. And then I'm going to put screws on the front that are going to push them into the screws on the back. What I'm using the heads to actually bite in. And because I'm not using the side of the pieces, it doesn't really matter. Okay. So now my board is really, really secure. It ain't coming up. And we're ready to do the zero. And that's what we'll do now. So when I set up the automatic tool changer, I already set my probe position based off of a master tool, which is this master tool. So I could take this It'll be a little loud for a second. All right, now I'll put the magnet on there. We'll go to the probe. I've got my fixed probe position and everything all squared away, but right now I want to go to simple probe. I want to do a pocket, and I'm actually going to bring my tool. Okay, so now if you take a look, my tool is down inside the boss on my probe, and I'll just run a probing macro. And if this gets bumped or the air compressor comes on, I'm sorry about that. So first thing I want to check is that I have continuity with the probe. Probe active. All right. So I'm going to hold it. Start probing. I apologize if I'm real shaky. I'm having a real hard time with this. I'm going to do this. It's going to run, and then I'm going to. Okay. All right. It probed okay. So now I'm going to set my step distance for 1 inch. I'm going to move over 1 inch, move up 1 inch. And then I'm going to go to tool probe, and I'm going to reference probe as workpiece. So now my probe is referenced as workpiece. So I should be able to go down . Whew. So now everything's in reference to the probe at the back end. So if I hit M20100 and I hit T1, my offset should be all put in with no issue. All right. So now I should be able to grab tool 1. So I'll show you that. All right, guys, I'm going to have to call this one. I messed it up. I processed it for the non-ATC. I could run it. Here's how simple it is to run it. Take my tool out. I put this back in. I put that in. I can redo the Z. All right. It's ready to go again. Whoa. All right, guys. That was setting up for a production run. As you can see, I don't make everything the same all the time, and I make mistakes. It's not easy when you're working in a small garage and you're working with multiple machines. I didn't check that I had the right post processor, and in the code I have it to ignore the tool change because it's actually made for that machine back there that doesn't have a tool changer. So I could have easily went up and post processed it and went from there, but I didn't. So, all right, guys, I'm gonna let this go, and I'll holler at you guys later.